Okay, this is the tutorial for the Intro to Chords Triads. I'm going to go kind of fast on this one because we've done quite a bit of these setups by now in other assignments. So I'm going to go ahead and enter the studio in Audio Tool, and we're going to start a new project. Okay, and let's just go back and we're going to look at this rubric really quick. So I definitely, you need to read this text and look at all these images before you start this video. So if you haven't, go back and do that now so that you understand what it is that we are about to do here. So step one, we're going to create our new session, save it and name it, invite me as an editor, load that pulverserator again with the piano sound, create a note track, and change the grid to 1/8. So let's do all of that. So we've created our new session. Let's save it. I'm going to title it Your Name. And this is Triads. Okay, hit save. And invite me as a collaborator. So go to invite. And type in fast forward music. Make sure that I'm listed as an editor at the bottom. And then save changes. And then we are going to use the pulverserator again. So go ahead and pull that in. Okay. And 2-finger tap on it to load a preset. And we're going to load the piano preset again. So just click on that once, make sure it says piano on the bottom. Alright, then we're going to create a note track. And you might, again, might want to look down and just see. If you've already got a note track created, good to go. If there's no note track down here, 2-finger tap on here, go to create note track. And then you should have one down here. Alright. And the last thing we need to do is create a cell. So just double click on there. And we're going to change our grid to 1/8. So we're right here where it says Smart. Remember, Smart is the one that gives you more and more divisions the more you zoom in. And I want to have it be fixed on one kind of division. So we're just going to set 1/8 there. So it should just say 1/8 right there. Okay, so that is all of step one. That went pretty fast. You may need to go back and slow that down if you missed anything on there, but hopefully that's things we've done a few times by now, so that should go pretty quick. So for step two, we're going to start programming some chords. First thing we're going to do is we're going to program all the different 4 flavors: C major, minor, diminished, and augmented. So I'm going to kind of start with those 4, and then we'll come back and do these second 4 next. So we're going to come back into our session here, double click on your red cell there to open up the note. They call it the piano roll sometimes. I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit taller here. And a little bit taller that way. And I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. And on the paper here, I just made a little note. Keep your notes between C3 as the lowest pitch that you enter and C5 as the highest pitch you enter. Chords sound muddy if you get below C3. You can get a little bit below, but it starts to get muddy as you get lower. That's kind of getting into the bass range. And if you get above C5, it starts to sound a little bit too chimey. Kind of the sweet spot where most chords exist. Is mostly between C3 and C5, and I generally try and keep it, close to C3. Kind of this is, I think, the money range where it sounds the best. Okay. So let's go ahead and program these first chords. I'm going to start them all on C3 since that's the starting note. So the first one is a C major. So I'm going to enter that C note. Ooh, and that actually sounds a little bit low. I changed my mind. Let's start on C4. That sounds better. So I'm going to scroll up just a little bit. A lot of it does depend on what sound you're using, by the way, too. Some sounds get muddier quicker as you go down. So just something to keep in mind. So C4 is our first note, and I'm going to go ahead and put 4 C's in, because each of our first 4 chords all start on the note C. So that's our root note, and I know I can just put that first note in right off the bat. So to build a major chord, we've got 2 intervals we need to add. The first one is a major third. So, and remember, to get a major third, you're going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps. Okay, so then I'm going to enter that note. So that's our first interval, the major third. Second interval is a minor third, so I'm going to go up 3 half steps for that one. 1, 2, 3. And that is a major chord. Okay, and it sounds, let's play this. I'm going to turn my BPM way down. Like, let's do 20. Well, I guess 30 is the lowest it'll let me go. Okay, so let's do 30, and let's play this just so we can hear that first chord. Okay, one more time. Okay, so that's a C major chord. It's got a nice happy feel to it. Next one is C minor. So for the minor, we're going to kind of flip the interval. So first we're going to do a minor third. So that's up 1, 2, 3 again. So it's smaller than the major. And then we're going to do a major third on top. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you'll notice, these two side by side, the only difference between major and minor is this middle note is down 1, right? So I'm going to push play again, and you're going to hear major and then minor. C major, C minor. Alright, one more time. Okay, so you can hear that. A lot of times people compare those two as the major kind of sounds happy and the minor sounds sad. I don't always like to think of those kind of simple terms, but I think that's a good thing to kind of remember. Minor chords do kind of a more somber feel to them. Okay, so the next chord we're going to do is C diminished. And C diminished has a minor third first, 1, 2, 3, and then another minor third, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So again, if we compare the minor to the diminished, the only difference is this top note is down 1. Okay. Let's do our, well, let's play these. So we'll have major, minor, and diminished here. Okay. And then the last one is augmented. And augmented has a major third first, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then another major third, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So it's really similar to the major chord, except for its top note is up even one more. Okay? So let's hear these 4 flavors side by side now. C major again, C minor, C diminished, C augmented. Okay? And as I said before, diminished and augmented chords, or triads, they exist, but they're really honestly not used too much in music. You'd really have to dig pretty deep, I think, to find a song that had an augmented chord in it. You know, especially if it was going to happen for longer than just a half second, too, because they're just kind of weird and unsettling. Now, if you're listening to like soundtrack for like a Bugs Bunny cartoon, you might hear some augmented chords if it was like a moment where they wanted to kind of make it like a scary moment, right? Or it's suspenseful. But in general song creating, you're just not going to hear that chord too much. Diminished maybe a little bit more frequently, but it's still very, very rare. And again, it's only used generally as what we call a passing chord, which just means just for a second in between 2 other chords. So when you're writing songs, I really recommend that you stick to major and minor, because that's what pretty much everyone else does, and there's so much you can do with major and minor, and they just sound good. They're the kind of chords that feel good to sit on for a while. So we've got 4 more chords that we need to program real quick. Let's look at that list again. So F major, G major, A minor, and D minor. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find these root notes, the F, G, A, and D. Okay, F, G, A, and D. So let's come back here. And one thing that I wish Audio Tool did is it would list some of these other note names for us, but I'll go ahead and just give these to you. So F is this one right here. And if you know your piano, you probably know that pretty well, but if you don't have experience with piano anyway, if you count up from C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, that's where F is. So there's F right there. And if you hover over it, you can see it says F4 position 2.0 whatever. That'll just kind of reaffirm that you've got the right note in there. Our next one is G, and G is just 2 steps up from F, by the way. And again, if you hover over it, it'll say G4, so you'll know you've got the right one. Our next one is A, and A is 2 up from G. Okay. And again, should say A4 if you got that right. And the last one that we're going to do is a D, and D is 2 up from C. So if we go back to this line where our C was and just go up 2 from there, that's D. Should say D4. Okay. So now we've got our root notes for each of these chords. All right. So now let's go back and see what flavors we need to make each of these chords. The first 2 are major, the second 2 are minor. Okay. So again, the formula for major is up 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or it's a major third and then a minor third. I'm going to let you guys, I'm not going to do this one, see if you can figure it out. It's a G major, so it should have the same step pattern as this one, but starting on this note. Okay, and I'll do this one with you. This is A minor. So I'm going to go up a minor third first, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go up a major third, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's an A minor. And I will let you guys figure out this one. This should be a D minor, so it will be the same pattern as this, just starting on this note. Okay, that is really it for this assignment. You just programmed 8 chords. If you want to hear them back, you can push play. Cool. This last little bit right here should kind of sound like a song almost, because we're using major and minor chords. So to turn this in, just enter your audio tool username into Canvas, and again, make sure I'm listed as an editor on your project and I can check it. Good luck.